We got some massive news for AST Space Mobile and Verizon stock investors as the companies announced a deal that will have Verizon spending money on AST Space Mobile technology. I'm going to highlight the details of this announcement in this video and update my buy or sell recommendation or rating on AST Space Mobile stock.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So AST Space Mobile has inked a new deal with Verizon to bring space-based cellular broadband across the United States, marking its most significant partnership to date and its latest move to capture a larger share of the emerging space-to-cellular market. So with each incremental deal like this, it's even bigger news for AST Space Mobile than it is for Verizon because of the size of the company. When you're an early stage company like AST Space Mobile, signing deals with established partners like Verizon gives you credibility on top of the revenue that it gives you in the arrangement. The question mark surrounding these kinds of arrangements is the larger companies usually secure very good deals for themselves at the expense of the smaller company because they have more negotiating power and they understand that making a deal with Verizon is a really big positive for AST Space Mobile, so they're willing to give more in exchange for the deal. So under this agreement, Verizon will integrate AST's satellite network with its infrastructure, using the 850 megahertz spectrum to extend coverage in remote areas where towers won't reach. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, and as they say, the devil's in the details. But this deal builds on an earlier partnership between the two entities announced last year, where Verizon made a $100 million commitment to support AST's service rollout. Verizon is the second major carrier to sign with AST following a 10-year agreement with Vodafone. For AST, the Verizon deal comes at a critical time as the company races to deploy its satellite designed to link directly with unmodified cell phones. So, undoubtedly, it's great when AST Space Mobile is signing a deal with Verizon. It will move the company forward and it will help the company gain more capital, gain more access to capital because it now has a deal with Verizon. And so lenders and investors will be more willing to work with AST Space Mobile. Also, talented individuals will be more interested in joining AST Space Mobile if it has a deal with the largest providers of this kind of service, which are Vodafone, Verizon, etc. So strategically speaking, this is a huge positive for AST Space Mobile, and Verizon understands that. So once the details of this arrangement are released, I wouldn't be surprised if they're heavily skewed in favor of Verizon. I've seen similar situations with other smaller companies signing deals with larger companies that have worked out not so good for the smaller companies after the initial benefit they get from the announcement. For example, Rivian's deal with Amazon. Remember how Rivian's stock price exploded when it announced the deal with Amazon? Of course, as the details are emerging, Rivian is losing significant sums of money on that arrangement because they offered Amazon attractive terms. Similarly, Plug Power is another company that signed deals with Walmart and Amazon, and Plug Power was losing significant sums of money on that deal. This is a common thing that happens very often. The smaller company agrees to a deal with the larger company because of the strategic advantages it offers. So in the contract, they're willing to accept terms that are not so favorable. So AST Space Mobile is one of those high risk, high reward type investments. And for me, it's still too early for a buy recommendation on AST Space Mobile. I've had this stock rated as a hold, and I updated that recommendation following these developments today.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.